I'll grant
But
you.
what is your process for encouraging creativity?
I believe that the way I work best is when I divide my creative process into two separate parts. And for years now, I've had this thing that I'm only starting to talk about with my students, but it was just a personal metaphor for myself that I found really helpful. In my head, my metaphor for this is there are two people. There's the author and there's the editor. And the author is this crazy, off-the-wall, brilliant, sloppy, disorganized mess of a guy who just throws paint at things, right? And he stays up way too late, and he's nuts. You can't rely on the author to meet you at 2:00. He's too busy. He's impulsive, and he's wild, and he works fast, and then he goes to sleep. And that's the author. And the author comes first. The author is the guy who makes the art to start, right? He's the inspiration. He's the frame of mind that I'm personally in when I'm starting some new creative project. And then after that, usually after a break or a day or two, the editor comes in. And the editor rolls her eyes. She doesn't much care for the author. She's very organized. I imagine her almost like Edna in The Incredibles. She's very perfect and concise and clean. And she takes a broom and she sweeps up the room, and she wipes the paint off the walls. She gets the author a coffee for the morning. She tidies it up, and she looks over this thing that the author made and goes, what a mess. All right, well, I got to make this into something. And then the editor does kind of the real work, the long, hard, very methodical work of making it look like the author knew what he was doing the whole time. and the editor is the frame of mind that I'm in when I'm trying to improve some work of art that I've been working on. For me, that's music. I like to write music. So it's after I look at my sketches, I save the initial file as version 1. Version 1 is the author's mess. It doesn't sound too good. It's way too long, whatever. And then I'm in editor phase for a while, and I make many versions of that sketch. And every time I'm just thinking, how can I make this a little better? How can I make this a little more organized, a little more, accessible to other people, a little less obscure or abstract, if that's what it needs. How can I make it look, again, like I knew what I was doing the whole time? And I think that something like this is really helpful for people who feel stuck, because if you're stuck, there's a very good chance, in my experience, all right, there's a very good chance that you're trying to be both the author and the editor. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to be creative and wild and awesome and holy smokes, I can't believe what razzle dazzle, but you're also worried about how good it's going to be. And you're thinking about whether or not it makes sense, and you're doubting yourself, and you're being critical, and you're trying to fix the mistakes, and those things, in my view, can't really coexist at the same point in time. They have to be separated by a wall. They live apart, the author and the editor. They don't really like each other, but they need each other. You can't have just the editor, because then you get like math music that's boring, and you can't have just the author because it's just a mess.